Welcome to this week's episode of the Nerd Chatter Podcast, where two nerds sit down and chit-chat about nerd news that we come across throughout the week. We have the return of Garrett. My friend, how are you?
Good. Thanks for carrying the show without me last week.
Yeah, no problem.
Taking care of my wife's grandpa, who has broken and re-broken his femur. So
yeah, that's my mom actually had that happen. Actually, she in the parking lot of a hospital, actually going for some type of checkup. She was walking to her car and tripped and cracked her femur. That was
That's
interesting.
rough.
It's like a hip all the way down type of casting, so it's pretty
Yep.
rough. Neither of us are feeling too well. We both just under the weather. It seems like a common cold, but we got the sniffles and the coughs and all that stuff, so we're working with that. But we'll truck it along, try to make this nice and quick. But as always, I like to share the free and heavily discounted games that I come across throughout the week. Not too much this week, but Ark Survival Evolved over on the Epic Game Store until September 29th. For those who haven't played Ark Survival Evolved, it's a survival game. It's a spawn in the middle of nowhere, punch some trees, get some wood, pick up some thatch, make a base, defend, and then you train, catch, and kill dinosaurs for resources or mounts or that type of thing. But it's a pretty buggy game. It's been around for a while. You'd hope that it'd be cleaned up after these years, but it hasn't. But Arc 2 is inbound in the next year or two. So free's not bad if you want to get kind of warmed up to what you may experience in Arc 2. It's free over there until the 29th. And also over there, Gloomhaven. It's a dungeon crawler tactical RPG. Not my style, but some people do like those tactical RPGs. And again, as always, free is a good price. And just a notable mention here, over on Xbox Game Pass, Slime Rancher 2 is now available. So that is it for this week.
I actually have a few on Prime Gaming this week. Ends in 8 days from recording, so this is the 24th of September. We have Assassin's Creed Origin free, Shadows of Mordor Game of the Year edition, and several others, more indie games that are all free. Definitely worth a check out.
Yeah, not bad. So not bad, a decent little payload of free games this week. Got to check those out. And then on to the news here. Like I said, we're going to try to make this quick. The roundup, we're also going to just kind of pop off with a few stories and then kind of divert you over to the Twitter to read up on some of the other stories we'll go over. But first off here, this is a relatively interesting story. I mean, anybody that's been involved with early releases or review copies or any type of NDA, you understand the gravity behind those agreements, but certainly not this individual. So I got a little blurb here. We're going to go over it. Relatively respectable Australian gaming YouTuber known as Dan Allen Gaming made a whoopsie this week when he accidentally responded to his main account to a tweet directed to a prolific insider leaker on Twitter known as TheRealInsider. For seemingly no reason whatsoever, for no benefit to his actual identity or career, he chose to make a burner account to specifically break NDA he had with Ubisoft to repeatedly leak information he was being given directly by Ubisoft. Although he quickly deleted the accidental response, the screenshot had been taken and the damage had been done as it spread across the internet like wildfire. Shortly after the incident, both Twitter accounts were deactivated and he went into hiding, while leaving his YouTube channel up to receive the grunt of abuse in the comments and probably farm views as kind of like one last hurrah. Not too much time had passed before he made a statement claiming it had been a mistake and going on with the standard apology, followed up by a very common apology video on his main channel. His final sentiment was that he learned it wasn't good, he will never do it again, and that he's sorry. All while ignoring the fact that he broke a very serious legal agreement repeatedly for literally no reason other than to endanger his own career. So yeah, this is
Wise. Jeez.
Yeah. I apologize for fumbling some of the words here. I kind of got like foggy brain with all the cold meds and stuff that I'm
all good.
chugging. So, but yeah, this individual, I think he had like, I don't know, 250,000, maybe 300,000 subscribers. Fairly decent for just a gaming channel. He was, he set up playthroughs. I think he did like a playthrough of Red Dead with the voice actor of John Marston from Red Dead, and it's like he had interviews with creators and or devs and stuff like that. So it wasn't like he was some small time YouTuber, but uh, you know, we've all, I'm gonna say not all of us, but we've done things where we signed agreements where it's like you can't talk about this if you want to be involved, and you take those things seriously. But for some reason, I mean, like I had mentioned in that blurb, there was no benefit personally to like his career doing this. It was strictly just for like, I don't know, some weird like side clout on Twitter that would benefit him in no way. You don't make money off of anything on Twitter, so it's very strange, pretty bad. It was the apology video is like very typical, but the fact that it's like, I really apologize, I learned my lesson, I won't do it again. It's like, well, you're not, I know you're not going to do it again. Of course you're not going to do it again. Now it just depends on how hard Ubisoft wants to come down on you, because I mean, it was blatant and for literally no reason other than to just kind of spit in their face,
Yeah. They have punishments in there, in all of those NDAs that are very explicit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the law is in Australia, but I mean, in the U.S., they threaten jail time, they threaten monetary stuff, and the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the content. This stuff is serious.
Yeah.
He's going to have an issue coming up.
Yeah. I put it on Twitter. It's like, nah, dude, this guy's going to get nailed to the wall, dude. Like, this dude is going to get, like, reamed.
Well, and he's going to be made an example of.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say hopefully. It's like, you don't want to, wish ill will on anybody. But this was blatant. It was repeated, it was intentional. And I wrote it. It's like, that's not a mistake. It wasn't something that he didn't intend to do. It was a bad choice, But I understand that you can make bad choices and it be perceived as a mistake. But it was more of like he was trying to be like, oh, it was a whoopsie, like not like, oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that. It was like, oh well, yeah, my bad. It's like, no, dude.
Yeah.
No.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, mistakes were made for sure.
Many of them.
So yeah, he's kind of done skis. I'm not sure. I mean, nothing's gonna happen to him YouTube wise or anything like that. Nothing
unless he goes
career-wise.
to jail.
I mean, yeah, he could very well spend jail time. And I don't know. I think Ubisoft's Montreal. They might just be one of their locations. I don't know where like laws and jurisdiction and that type of thing, and if you're agreeing to an agreement in a company in one country, like which jurisdiction and who would, where, how do you press charges and that type of thing. So
there's a lot of muddy water.
Stupid choice,
Yep.
Stupid choice. Just a really bad idea. Bad.
Yep. I mean, he's dug his own grave effectively.
Yeah. That's kind of like, it's like you reap what you sow type thing. And me personally, it's like, yeah, get that guy out of there. No more events, no more copies. Just back to Twitch it is for you, make your videos. Nobody goes on his shows and divulges information or anything like that. It's just, he's going to have to make do with his own reviews and his gameplay. And then that's it. No more invites, no more special treatment, that type of thing. So at the very least, you would hope for that type of punishment where they're just like, okay, we're not going to let you play with that toy anymore. I hope he doesn't go to like prison or jail or anything like that, but you never know. I don't know how the laws work. So, but that's it for that one. Any final thoughts on that?
The guy's dumb.
Stupid games, stupid prizes, it is what it is.
For this week on my segment, we're going to talk about Andor. Was released on Wednesday, I think, right?
I believe Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, and it released with 3 episodes. So we're just going to talk, or I'm going to give a quick overview, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the details. We will do our best to not have any spoilers in this particular section. So no need in signing off because you haven't seen it. I think both of us can say that we enjoyed it. Yes.
And it's a definite recommendation if you're into Star Wars for sure.
Yep. I mean, effectively where we're at is where we have 2 different scenes going on, where we have Andor in present, which is 4 or 5 years before Rogue One happens. Then we have pre-Empire Andor on his like home planet. But the show basically is a slow progression so far. That's very methodical, setting a lot of setup shots. That's very, very gorgeous. Then, I mean, we have a culmination at the end of I guess it's episode 3, where things are really starting to hit the fan. I really liked it. Like you already said that you liked it. I think this is going to be a really great show, and I really appreciate the fact that they have everything planned out. So there's going to be from now until the end of episode 24, it's all planned, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's not like something that's constantly getting evolved, and it's not going to run for 20 seasons and drag on. There's a solid plan, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it shows.
What was the length of the episodes, like footage-wise? It seemed like the episodes were ending pretty
short.
Were they like 35, 40 minutes or something, or 45 minutes? It seemed like the credits were like super long, and I was like checking the credits because it was such a chunk of the episode. I was like, is there a scene or something? And no. These are the 500 million people in
yeah, exactly.
It's like here's the laundry list of everybody involved.
Yeah, and which studio did what, and all of that. And I mean, they have to have it in different languages now, so it's, I mean, it's any Disney Plus content. The credits go for 7 minutes or 5 minutes or, however long the credits go for. So the episodes themselves, minus the credits, were about 35 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Which,
a good movie for every 3 episodes.
Exactly. That's
perfect length.
It's perfect. And they've already said that they're going to be 3-episode arcs all the way through. Mm-hmm. Like I said, everything's planned really well, and it's already showing 3 episodes in.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's I don't know the director's name. I know that they had mentioned
Tony Gilroy.
I believe it was Gilroy that said it. He's like, I want you to kind of put aside your fandom and admiration for Star Wars. When making this, it's going to be, its own thing. And I wouldn't even go as far to say that. It feels, and I wouldn't even say it feels within the wheelhouse of Rogue One. It feels a little bit more, it's in the positive, like Rogue One, it was a good looking movie, but at times it felt kind of like weird. This though, it feels like it's believable, like it is somewhere out there in the Star Wars universe or galaxy, I should say. But you're picking up in a story between people that you have no idea, and it's refreshing to have other characters and other kind of like subdivisions of the Empire and stuff involved. And we were talking about it, it's like they're subcontractors, right? Like they're not Imperial soldiers or what have you. They're like a contract group, like a security guard group or whatever. So you don't have these repetitive and looming larger Imperial figures to kind of be left with, and your Tarkins and that type of thing.
I know at some point we will be getting ISB officers or Imperial Security Bureau. So
I mean, now it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, because they're going to come and be like, what's going on over here? You know what I mean? Like, of course. And you wouldn't have, your typical Joe Schmo Imperial staffer come and ask questions. It would be like a subgroup. And it adds that layer of, that there's a business going on there. There's an entire economy and financial structure to the Empire. And it's kind of a
more
joke,
than just
It's I don't know if you've ever. I mean, you've probably never seen Clerks, but
I've seen clips.
There's a discussion in there where Randall is talking about the second Death Star and how there had been independent contractors brought in, like plumbers and stuff like that to do work on it, because like your typical like stormtrooper doesn't know how to like properly fit piping and stuff like that, and like there was no sympathy for all of the contractors that were just brutally murdered by the rebellion when it exploded, so it's like, it's funny to kind of see a little bit more of like a serious approach to that. It's like completely believable. I like that type of stuff where it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, there would be, subdivision, little guard outposts and stuff that are hired out, like your little security branches and stuff that are going to be scattered about the galaxy and doing the bidding of the Empire. So, yeah, I like that. I like that whole like vibe. I didn't really understand like watching the promos. Like, why do these guys look different? Is this like a pre-Empire Empire? Is this like the transitional phase or whatever?
Nope.
But no, it makes sense.
And, I mean, we will get some transitional stuff at some point. I mean, in the trailers, we had clone troopers marching through the streets. So, I mean, that's coming. And I'm assuming that will be tied in with the young Andor story. Well, we'll see. Like I said, the way that it's developing, I am extremely interested into. It's
solid.
It's solid, but it's not
solid.
It's not just like it's showing us a lot more of the galaxy, even though it hasn't showed us that much. Because hey, look, the Empire has subcontractors. It's not just stormtroopers everywhere.
Yeah, the mundane real world attachment, and like this is what you would consider to be grounding. Like.
Yeah.
Not this whole like over the top social commentary, like in your face, just let's make Star Wars real and that type of thing. Like this is where it actually feels real. That makes sense. They're you get kind of like the Fallen Order type reference with the demolition of these ships and stuff, right? The exact same, I forget what those are called, like the ship cutters or whatever they're called, those big ships that come and they chop the ships in half and cool. Cool type of detail. I like that.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed that there was the same AT type cranes that they had in Rogue One. No, it was in Solo that were like trolling through the water. And I think they even used one of those in Mandalorian to like fish the ship out of the sea when he crashed land.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was like a cool little detail. Like, they're using all of this technology. So like an AT-AT isn't just a troop carrier and like assault. I don't even know a walker. It is a walker, but like, it's not just that. You can use it for so many other things.
Yeah. And I don't know. It doesn't feel like fan service. It feels like, okay, so these are the things, these are the ships that are used to do these tasks. And yeah, you'll see them around. It doesn't have any significance, it's like, but these serve a purpose. It's much like, the planes and the helicopters that drop water on fires and stuff. It's like they have a specific purpose, and they go and do their thing. So it's totally believable, but at the same time, it keeps you attached, but it also doesn't make you roll your eyes. You know what I mean? Like, it's a perfect balance. This person knows how to like tote that line, so it's like, I don't know. I like it. I like the vibe. I don't think it moves too slow, to be honest.
No.
I've seen stuff that comes off a lot slower for sure, but
it's slower compared to Mandalorian by a long shot, but it's not slow in the sense of, oh my gosh, this is dragging on. It's like the perfect.
Yeah, it sets the mood. It's
good
working
pace.
with it. Yeah, it's working with the pace that it should have. Stellan Skarsgård. Once again, in every movie known to man, makes his appearance. Fiona Shaw, Aunt Petunia from Harry Potter. She plays a fairly pivotal role in all this. And what do you think about that? I forgot the designation for the droid in this one, but what do you think about that droid?
B2 EMO?
Yes, that's it. It's emo. That's right.
Yep. B2 emo.
A little too on the nose, but.
I mean, it's a cute little droid. I mean, the fact that it's like stuttering and it has all these issues more than just like, it's not just a quirky droid on the fact that it's a quirky droid. It's like, it has damage. It's seen stuff.
It was, though, when you see that flashback, there's a flashback. We're not going to get into details with it, but you see him as like a younger droid and not as worn down and, the programming was a lot more functional and it's like, okay, so these little details, like even the droids are aging. Which I thought Fiona Shaw looked that old when she was doing her part. But when they did flashbacks, like that's how old she actually is, and it's like, oh damn, the makeup or whatever they did to make her look old looked good. Acting across the board is solid. Like, I haven't seen one issue with acting. Even I don't know, the guard that in all the promotional pictures, I thought it was Starkiller, whoever that actor, I forget his name.
Sam Witwer.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah, he played everything, but he looked like him in the promotion. I was like, I know. Is that him? I was like, what is that? But no, just in that one scene, I really like the acting from the guy. I just watched it last night, but I forgot his title. The guy's boss. The main guy.
Okay, that guard,
Rupert Van Start is his name. Chief Hine. Good stuff. That's definitely approval on my rating for sure.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next thing, I just want to talk about the little step ladder droid. Was so flippin' cute.
Which one?
When Stellan Skarsgård's ship came down, or in the transport he was in when it came down, this little itty bitty step droid like came over and like unfolded itself right in front of the transport so they could get off. It was just like, oh, look at that little guy.
I didn't pay attention. I mean, I'm just so used to droids being involved with like Star Wars that they just kind of, I mean, much like somebody probably living in that universe, they just kind of fall into the background. They just do their thing, so you just kind of overlook them. But some unique, I mean, also too with the emo droid, the close-ups, it kind of looked like the thing was made out of foam.
It might be.
I mean, it was just like, look at little Warbler. They're using Warbler. It had a lot of movement, so I can see them having to kind of like lighten it up, because it had this kind of accordion effect, while simultaneously also being able to like rotate, and it's interesting.
In order to make that like a practical prop work like that, you'd need it for that to be light.
You need to do something like that. At least like, I don't know, make the very top of it out of like aluminum or something to where it looked like metal. When it looked like up close, and I mean, this is a department that makes these things. You know what I mean? It's like it's like what ILM is known for. I'm not sure who did this type of stuff, and they know that they're going to get close-up shots. It's like you're if you got close-up versions and you got fully animatronic, screen-worthy versions, and then you have like your glamour shot type ones, and this one kind of felt like they had just one. And when you get really up close, like a lot of the dings and scratches looked fabricated. So that's just my nitpick. The other nitpick that I have is also, I'm actually kind of shocked. I mean, you might not agree, but not satisfied with the CGI. It was a very super, super, super small amount of CGI in these 3 episodes, and what I saw was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like they spent their budget on practical things.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's great, especially after coming from, all the different shows that have been using the volume and using only the volume. And it's like, this is like a nice thing to go back to. But now it's just like, oh, why? Now this feels a little weird because we've had such great CGI from the volume.
Yeah. I mean, my thing, I wish that for certain, like, there's a speeder scene. You'll know what I'm talking about, but there's a speeder scene in there where I really wish that they just took a trip across town that day to the volume to film that one little scene.
Well, they were
just
filming...
because it looked pretty bad on that one particular scene, and then the other ones are like the entry of the ships, kind of flying. They didn't look good. You know what I mean? It's like, this is only 20 seconds of collective footage in this entire like 3 episodes. You think that they would make it look like really solid, but no, like everything in Mandalorian looks a lot better than the CGI that they did in this particular show.
Well, and on that note, a lot of the CGI that they used, I mean, it felt like it was a little rushed, at least in those first couple episodes. But I mean, the practical effects, by and large, and everything practical was beautiful.
Oh yeah, it looked good.
They did such a great job.
A little reminiscent of Tatooine.
A little, but I mean, like this place had a little bit more life to it. But it was just like a graveyard of ships.
Yeah. It was different. Yeah. And then like the shipyard, and all this stuff and seeing all these all rickety ships, and it's like this is the type of environment that the Falcon came from. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just this junker, and I like that type of style. Also the drop ships, right? Little
Yeah.
prequel action. Did you see that?
Well,
They had the very, very prequel shape. Don't
Yeah.
know why they had such a rough entry. Isn't space travel like just common? Like, why was it so dramatic?
They still have atmosphere stuff that they have to.
Yeah,
overcome.
but they don't get rocked around and like these ships just like coast. But it's like these little drop ships were having like flickering lights and they're jostled around. I get it. Like I understand the imagery that they were portraying 100%.
Yeah.
It looked good. But I just had to giggle at that too. I was like, why would this thing be acting like it's going to fall out of the sky or tear up,
Yeah.
But
Well,
it was
and,
to
like-
strengthen the emotion of the scene and kind of get you amped up because these
Yeah.
characters were walking into something and,
Well, those ships, they're like the commercial version of the Republic gunships. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They didn't have the big rockets and they didn't have like the big guns on the side. It was just like, this is what we offer to civilians. Here you go.
They quite literally look like little mini tiny versions of, what Yoda rolled up on in the Clone
the
Wars.
Republic gunships, yeah.
And sealed. And they had like the netting on the inside, just so reminiscent of like a military drop vehicle, just
Well,
what
and-
you would have in mind when you think of
Yep.
it.
Well, and those Republic gunships, though, like the ship that Yoda rolls into in Geonosis,
Uh-huh.
those are capable of sealing themselves for short space voyages.
Yeah, and I think you see them at one point doing that, right?
I can't remember if we see that
I've seen it
in
somewhere.
live action,
It might
but
be,
in
it might be
Clone Wars, we see
yeah.
that several times.
Yeah, I think it was Clone Wars I saw it. So, I like it when they kind of harken back to it. Razor's Crest was kind of a prequel era type design, like a little bit
Yeah.
in that area, not too much. It was a nice middle ground. Rest in peace. Love that ship, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think in one of the shipyard scenes, you see a destroyed Razor Crest.
Looked like it.
It looked
I
like
saw
it,
it.
yeah.
It looked like it. I couldn't really pinpoint. Like, the top wing
the-
sections look a little different.
The cockpits, though, that looked like right on point. It almost looked like it was either a Razor Crest or a version of the Razor Crest, or at least came from the same company.
Yeah. Yeah, the show definitely, it wanted to portray like this is where the trash of the galaxy ends up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it was, because obviously there's people living there and it was, like you said, bustling and stuff, but it just had that feeling where it's like a lot of the jobs were there cutting up, Imperial and Republic ships or what have you, or whatever, they're just demolition, and you get that feeling of just just kind of that gross feeling that you get when you're inside the Falcon. That beautiful, gross, worn-in feeling. They conveyed that super well. So we won't gush about it for too long, and at one point we'll probably have a separate conversation about it. But this is a heavy recommendation. I definitely say it's better than Boba Fett. If you were
Agreed.
left to choose between those two, it'd be like, oh, dude, Andor, 100%, not even close. Don't even waste your time if that's the case. I would actually probably go as far to say that I already enjoy this more than I enjoyed Obi-Wan as a whole. I know that one probably be a little spicy, but I like the fact that the showrunners are taking this seriously, in the sense that it's an expression through film. You know what I mean? Like, they're focusing on camera angles, or focusing on music cues, or focusing on feeling and emotion and world building, and they're focusing on the things that you can get behind, not just a shallow story with things to pump out the content. There's a lot of reasons I like Obi-Wan in particular, mainly because of the people that come back, but really it's like I could have just had a 2-hour episode of that as a movie that was just the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader stuff, and getting rid of all the Reva stuff and all the Inquisitor stuff, and just maybe a little slight reference to them, but you could get something better out of Obi-Wan if you started slicing things away. This feels like more of like how you appreciate Breaking Bad. or a show like that, like Game of Thrones, where it's like you're in it. There's a story being told, and you're willing to sit there and meet these characters and hear this story and understand the world that these filmmakers are making. It's not just a paycheck to them. So I dig it. Heavy recommendation for me. And try to sit there and watch all 3 episodes straight, because it's very much a 3-part singular film if you watch it in that sense.
Yep.
All right, so I think it's it for our Andor discussion. I think we can only say that we recommend it so much. So if you have Disney Plus, go ahead and give it a watch. It's definitely a good one. Moving on to the roundup, as I mentioned in the last episode, we're going to try to redo how we get through the roundup, because some weeks are just excessive news and some weeks it's fairly manageable. I think the best thing to try to keep the show under an hour total is to choose like the top 4 or 5 stories in the roundup, and then afterwards just kind of rattle off the stuff that we didn't get to, and then kind of push people to the Twitter so that they can read these articles, because we retweet and we like these things, so it's a nice way of getting this information. So what do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. The first one here, it's a big one. It probably could have been its own story, but I personally don't care about it enough to where I'm gonna give it too much attention. I like streaming on Twitch, and I like watching Twitch, and been around Twitch forever, but by this point it's just kind of like eye rolly, and it's like, whatever, dude. But we'll get through this little blurb here. Twitch drama. Annual community sacrifice, this time a multi-tier situation that first started with a streamer by the name of Slicker being outed as a perpetual con man, convincing dozens of people to front him cash to support an alleged sports gambling addiction, selling them stories of temporary hardships and promises of interest in return. He approached everyone he knew, from other big and small streamers to his own mods and even random viewers who were known to donate regularly. After video and DMs were shown of him begging for money, he then went live and divulged the details of the apparent situation. Other more outwardly virtuistic streamers seized the opportunity to thrust the discussion of gambling on Twitch back into the forefront, calling for mass pressure from their fans for Twitch to take action. Although Slicker didn't stream gambling or even gamble on the exploitative websites that the Twitch gambling community are sponsored by, Twitch made an announcement that they would be banning mostly all forms of gambling, specifically stating the main websites that have been most recent discussion around the gambling category. Shortly before the announcement, in a Twitter scuffle between 2 popular streamers, Trainwreck TV and Mizkif, a total left-field allegation of Mizkif's involvement in a sexual abuse cover-up sparked an entirely new and more intense discussion within the Twitch community as big streamers went at it. Some making public statements, some posturing and fighting, and some just outright taking a break from streaming. During the midst of the meltdown, Twitch made another announcement regarding their partner cuts, slashing the percentage and forcing more ads on viewers. So currently Twitch is a dumpster fire. It is, I know you don't frequent Twitch too often. I know you like stream on it with our account and stuff, but
That's really my extent.
This seems to be like an annual thing. There's always like some type of big drama where like a group of, and I put it as like overly virtuistic streamers, or outwardly, they're the ones where it's like they're painting themselves as angels, and then they're out there, railing against certain things, or using certain topics and talking points to further their own careers and exposure. Not all of them. Some of them have like genuine attachment to these stories. Some of them, are involved outright. But really what happened here is it's Slicker. I think he's an older streamer from Iraq, I believe. And he streams numerous types of content. You know what I mean? I think he's done like IRL streams before, and like gameplay and like, reaction type stuff. But really what it came down to is that, it was like, oh, hey man, like my mom's sick and Twitch is, withholding my payment for another month and I'm not going to be able to afford it. Do you think I could borrow like $1,000 or $2,000? And then he would get the money and then be like, hey man, this is like really embarrassing for me personally. So if you could like not tell anybody, like that'd be great, Like, I'd really appreciate it, and I'll get you back with interest. And then they'd be like, all right. So nobody told anybody. And then he'd go to the next person and do the same thing. He racked up over $300,000 in debt to like dozens of people. And I even mentioned in there, including his mods, and he would randomly reach out to viewers, just
That's
like random
crazy.
people, and send videos and be like, hey man, like, you know, I hate to do this, and you don't have to if you don't, but you know, if you could like hook it up with like a little bit of money and blah blah blah. It's like, this is like some like 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid who's like, I don't have that money, like I don't have a job. Like literally, I think there was a message. He's like, how old are you? And he's like, oh, I'm 16. He's like, oh man, you got like a job or what? He's like, yeah, I work, blah blah. He's like, damn, they make you work at that age? He's like, yeah. He's like, damn, that sucks, man. Hey, but anyways, you know, I'm in this situation. It was like that. He conned somebody who is saving money for their chemo.
What?
There was somebody who was paying for their chemotherapy, and he was, I believe, repeatedly, but at least once, you know, asking this person for money.
I don't like this guy now at all.
So it's pretty scummy, and he didn't show like true remorse. He went on like a stream and was just like, yeah, like it sucks and blah blah, and like, you know, it is what it is. It's like, what? Like, no, dude, like you should be locked up in jail right now, being sued or some shit, you know, something. But you know, like I said, he set up this little network of people who felt like guilty talking about it, and it was like big streamers that got duped. And then like randomly, it was like this discussion where Mizkif is like a streamer who's like a reaction streamer, but really is like a unique character on Twitch because it's more so about like personality and like dicking around with chat and stuff. And he has kind of gone from just being like a guy who streamed and like joked with chat and like genuinely interested in chat to then being like, you know, he has people over like daily, and it's more of like a little like show. Like he has like guests and they all do like stupid stuff, and then, you know, it's like he's going after the more, you know, popular female streamers, and then, you know, he's getting other streamers. So it's like this culmination of stuff. So he's naturally been kind of injected into the potential for drama. And then randomly, Trainwreck TV is one of he's the most popular gambling streamer. He's sponsored by stake.com. He burns hundreds of thousands of dollars a night and wins hundreds of thousands of dollars a night as well, through this, you know, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that stuff. They're using, you know, digital currency for these gambling websites, and you know, it's led to a discussion of whether or not that's right or wrong to have on Twitch. Twitch is 13 and up, you know, and it's not appropriate. And then there's the argument of, you know, I tell people this is bad, and I relinquish all responsibility. Like I make it very clear that I'm not at fault, you know. Me personally, it's like I could care either way. I don't think that it's always a matter of like, if genuine people who are sitting there playing video games are having their viewers stolen from something, then you can have like an argument. But if it's just a matter of, you know, people wouldn't be using Twitch if it wasn't for this one person streaming something they like, then I can't really, you know, argue against it. But you do have the moral sense of this. You also have like the jurisdiction sense of this. Some places gambling is just not legal at all, period. You know, these websites are run out of like shacks in the middle of nowhere. You know, it's like, it's real dodgy. So I can see it, and it's probably better if it's just gone. But really, what's odd about this is that Slicker wasn't using those websites. He wasn't even gambling on slots or anything like that. It was sports gambling, you know? And it was just a personal vice that he was subjecting other people to, you know, victimizing other people. It was so weird to see this entire community flip it and be like, oh, okay, so it's all these slot machine websites that are the issue. And then Twitch finally caves and is like, okay, all that stuff's banned, all those websites are banned, and you'll be banned if you do it. So naturally, people that were doing nothing but that, it's a little upsetting, you know. And although, you know, you can agree with gambling or not, I think we can all agree that, you know, taking something and then using it as ammunition to get something else done is kind of scummy. You know what I mean? It wasn't done. It was almost exploitive in regards to how they got that done. But, you know, me personally, it's like, you know, it's gone. Whatever. Big deal. No biggie. But what do you think? What do you think about gambling on a website where you have to be 13 and up to participate, that uses digital currency on websites that are run by companies or individuals outside of America.
I mean, it's wholeheartedly a gray area. I mean, at least morally, it's a complete gray area. I think it should be age gated to 18 or whatever the legal age for gambling.
It's the little click thing, this is adult content. Are you sure you're 18? You click yes, and then it starts the stream. You know what I mean? That's what the little mature option in the dashboard on Twitch, it just prompts people that, when you're going in there, it's like, okay, this is for adults, so you got to make sure that you say you're an adult, and then we're not responsible. But you can't really stop that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. I really don't care what people do with their own money.
Yeah.
However, if it's used to exploit other people, that's when I think, Twitch should take a true stance on it. Which, I mean, they have. But
now these streamers, these streamers are being paid. I mean, I think this is ballpark, not exaggerating, like $1 million+ like a month, hundreds of thousands of dollars a week. These off the wall, gambling websites, they're making so much money if they can dish out millions of dollars to multiple streamers to push this. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you can question the exploitative nature of it. However, you can't argue the fact that they are succeeding in siphoning money from people and then giving them to these streamers to then help them siphon more money. It is the nature of gambling. I love Vegas. I've been to Vegas so many times throughout my life. Living in California is just a morning drive. It is what it is. It's people doing their thing, spending their money how they want. However, I'm a bit old school, and it's like Twitch should still just be video games. And that was the simpler times, and everybody had a good time, and just they played along. You know what I mean? But now we're introducing different factors that muck up the waters. There's a plethora of different categories that are in question, but really, if the website was just about playing video games, we wouldn't have any of these issues. Next up here, NVIDIA announces that there will be no decrease in GPU prices. As most had anticipated, and then announced the RTX 4090 and its $1,600 price tag and an October 12th release date.
So that $1,600 price tag is only if you get the Founders Edition or just this plain Jane NVIDIA card.
Yeah.
I saw a list, I think it was from overclockers.com, and they're almost all $1,800 to $2,000. So $1,800 to $2,000. It's just are you kidding me?
What was it? I forget what it's called, Moore's Law or something like that, or the main NVIDIA guy said something in regards to it just not being plausible anymore that you can expect a decrease in price from year to year. He basically shot it down. He's like, unfortunately, just because they're going to stop using GPUs for mining Ethereum doesn't mean that GPU prices are going to decrease. And then went on to say, okay, so here's the new lineup.
Scummy.
Pretty scummy. And then you have that on the coattails of EVGA denouncing their involvement or cooperation with NVIDIA. And just flat out not making GPUs anymore. Super crazy. I don't know. It might be, the video was kind of just whatever. But now it's starting to become a little bit more
Yeah.
How much worse is an AMD? I know AMD is comparable in certain senses. The AMD that I owned in the past was absolute garbage and gave me nothing but issues. But, I'll deal with certain things if they're going to be like this.
Yeah. Well, any of the 3000 series RTX cards are super cheap right now. There was a 3090 Ti or something on Amazon for just over $1,000 a week ago.
Yeah.
And that was 50% off. It's just people are selling these and can't hold on to them anymore. So there's a huge influx of 3000 series cards, and now NVIDIA's oh, here's these brand new shiny ones. Oh, but it's $1,600 still. It's good luck.
It's a little tumultuous out there too right now because of the Ethereum dump.
Yeah.
where these cards are coming from, what they are, and how used they are. I mean, if it was being used for mining, dude, that thing is toast. You know what I mean? You're sitting on a ticking time bomb. And
Well,
it's going to be
I'm talking
flooded out there.
I'm talking about strictly new cards.
I mean, if they're new cards, yeah. I mean, refurbs or RMAs, that type of thing. But
I'm not talking about that. Like,
yeah,
I'm talking about any of the 3000 series that you can buy brand new are cheap. Speaking on the overarching situation, is really sad that such a great GPU manufacturer is dipping out
yeah,
because of the what Nvidia was imposing on them.
yeah. I think they might have even wanted to have some type of price drop to help their sales and stuff, because by this point people are just grabbing whatever. Like I forget what my GPU is actually. I just whatever I could find for. I forgot what I got, like a 3080 Ti or 3090 Ti or something. I forget what I got, but I wasn't even carrying the brand by that point. It was just like the best price point because I knew in my head I was like, it's the same GPU processor. Or it's the same processor, it's probably the same board, blah, blah, blah. It's just about heat transfer. This thing has got 3 fans, and it's within the right, price range. I'm taking it, you know what I mean? So I could see EVGA being like, come on, man, lighten up a little bit, man. We need to make some sales. People are just buying anything they can get right now, like, and then them being like, oh, actually, we're going to be raising them. And EVGA being like, no. All right, we'll just go make keyboards, and we'll go make, power supplies and fans and cases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what they went and did,
Honestly, it would not surprise me if a year or two from now, EVGA comes out and says that they're making
AMD.
Well, no, Intel. I think they would move to Intel. Intel's making GPUs. They're making them in very short numbers. So that would be the way for Intel to get a solid manufacturer to start cranking them out for them.
Damn, and Intel has that technology, that realism technology. I don't know if you ever saw it where they took GTA. Oh, what was that?
Beautiful.
That was like scary. Like what they did, I was like, wait, what? This is not real? Like it literally looked like like dash cam footage, like but better quality. It looked real. Like the whole setting and environment just turned GTA into like this real. I mean, it was weird actually seeing it, to be honest. But
yeah,
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they might have to wait some time before it like shows up.
Yeah,
or they're able to do it. Because they might have a non-compete clause that they have to bite through, like I said, for a year or two. But like I said, it would not surprise me in that year to 2 years we'll see EVGA partner with Intel. Maybe AMD, but I think it would be Intel.
That'd be interesting. I mean, yeah. I'd even try it, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But yeah, moving on here. Video Game Donkey, veteran gaming YouTuber, announces Big Mode, an indie publishing company he started with his wife, Leia. A little bit of speculation on this one. People being like, oh, so he thinks that he does reviews and blah, blah. Like, he's going to be able to make games and yada, yada. I don't know if you've ever seen Video Game Donkey.
Nope.
Super old school reviewer. Very funny, actually. I think it would be a very enjoyable one for you to watch. I'll send you some videos later. He does tongue-in-cheek reviews, but he also does incredibly thorough reviews randomly. So it's like he'll make reviews of games that are funny, stupid, idiotic, that type of thing. And then randomly, like, he'll have a Breath of the Wild review that is like 30 minutes long, incredibly detailed, broken down, well written, well conveyed. He's just kind of like, he's always been there, but he's also a gamer that appreciates like Mario games thoroughly, like he has his hierarchy of all-time games, and they're typically like, based on genuine points, gameplay, sound, music, level design, character design, movement, like he understands gaming. He's picky, and he gives credit where credit is due. So he's starting a publishing company. And then you get people on the internet spinning it to where it's like, oh, he's going to be he thinks he could dev games and blah, blah. It's like, you got somebody who's been sitting there soaking up YouTube money for a decade, who's into indie games more than anything, who's willing to put his money on the line to like help devs publish their games and get them out there. Like, I don't see that as a negative until there's a reason to see a negative, especially with his wife. His wife is like, kind of like, it reminds me of your wife, you know what I mean? Just like lighthearted, happy, smiles, just a positive outlook, not scummy, like in any way whatsoever. Like, just, they're like a cute couple. Like, it doesn't come off as like negative to me in any way, but you have like this real vitriol online that like sparked up. So
It sounds like a passion project.
it is kind of like, it seems like a passion project. And the way he said it, I mean, he didn't have very much to sell. It was more of like, I've been making these videos for years. Here's my favorite games. Here's the things I understand, like what games should have that are fun to me, and it's like, I think other people appreciate it. And like, there's so many games out there that could benefit from being published and yada yada. But there's always that underlying thing where it's like, you got people out there who don't understand that that would still be a business, right? That he would still be entitled to some type of profit. And I feel that people are already kind of like revving it up, where it's like the second that he starts making profit, then they're going to just label it as scummy and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, he's a funny guy, stupid, goofy, just has his own way of doing things and reviewing things. I don't know. Like you said, it sounds like a passion project, but if anybody hears it and they're looking for an opportunity, Big Mode, that's a new indie game publisher, which, I mean, you have a number of, but you don't have an overwhelming amount of options. And somebody who has a money flow already and is willing to put some of that to making these games, come to light, maybe he's not going to be as worried about making money as your typical only in it for the profit type of publisher. So we'll see. But yeah, if you're an indie developer in your mom's basement chilling, he wants to hear from you. Last on here, I got some others that I'll just rattle off, but for me at least, Disney Plus Hollow Stream. Friday, October 7th is Hocus Pocus night with the original and then the new film being shown. Then Saturday, October 8th, we'll show Nightmare Before Christmas, WandaVision Episode 6, Halloween Spooktacular, and Werewolf by Night. This will take place at 5 p.m. to midnight at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. What do you think?
Sounds like a hoot, to be honest.
Like, I don't, like, that was the thing. It's like, that sounds dope, because like, especially after like 10 o'clock, it's going to be super spooky. And I don't know if you know what the Hollywood Forever Cemetery is.
I'm looking at pictures of it right now.
Rock stars, like movie legends, it's, I'm on the fence about it. It's like, I don't know, is that disrespectful? People popping up lawn chairs and watching movies and but the thing is, at the same time, the type of people that would be in this cemetery to begin with would probably be all about that. You know what I mean? Like, that's their passion and stuff. So I don't know. It's weird seeing like a Disney Plus event then tagged along into a cemetery. But I don't know. I mean, if you look at if you look at on Google, I think there's even pictures in there of other events where people are sitting on lawn chairs and you know,
I'm seeing that right now.
I don't know if they're sitting right on top of graves, which would be, I mean, you're not, you don't even walk on tombstones. That's incredibly disrespectful. You try to avoid walking directly over, just as a show of respect. So it's like, they probably have like a little area tucked aside, but God, how spooky. I mean, they got like really intricate like tombstones like all over the place and the mausoleum.
Well, then they have the statues.
Yeah, the statues and
yeah.
You get some creepy fog rolling through California, It's some creepy moments. You get something like that and some type of like, really exposed moon. That'd probably be a really creepy and cool event. But yeah, I mean, if you're in the Hollywood area, all millions of people, but if there's some free time on your schedule for those dates, what was that? That was October 7th and October 8th.
Yeah.
Prop up a lawn chair and go watch some spooky movies in a cemetery until midnight. I say midnight because it was like the first movie starts at 9 or starts at 5. Then the Hocus Pocus 2 started at like 9:30, and I'm assuming that's going to be like a 2-hour movie. So you would assume like midnight. I can only imagine.
So it looks like that on the 7th, Hocus Pocus and the new film will be shown. Then on the 8th, Nightmare Before Christmas, WandaVision Episode 6, and then Werewolf by Night. So they have it split up between 2 days.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's like the first day is kind of like Hocus Pocus Day, where they're going to have the two. Obviously, I mean, I didn't mention it. Actually, we talked about it. I actually said probably Werewolf by Night is going to be like an hour-long thing. It's exactly an hour long, actually. I think it's like 50, well, not exactly, but it's like 55 minutes or 58 minutes and 32 seconds or something. So,
Nice.
and I mentioned it last week. Your speculation in regards to the special presentation, that is a subcategory that's part of like the MCU, but not directly reflects, story arcs. However, that came from James Gunn when he referring to his holiday special. And then I have conflicting reports later in the week that there's going to be references in that special that set up things in Guardians 3. So I'm still confused as to exactly what it is.
Well, I think it's part. I mean, they explicitly stated in D23 that it is part of the MCU. It's just a special presentation, like just a one-off.
Yeah, but my thing is like, and I mentioned in the standalone episode last week, was like, Werewolf by Night, it's not a character that you're going to see hop in there and just start, bopping around the MCU. So is it like Werewolf by Night is a movie inside the MCU, as like kind of like how Keep the Change, You Filthy Animals was in Home Alone, where it's like a movie within a movie universe? Or it's like, are you gonna see a TV in the background playing Werewolf by Night inside She-Hulk, in an episode of She-Hulk? Because like that's kind of what I'm getting from that vibe,
Yeah, we won't know until later.
The Guardians holiday special is not going to be that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm still kind of confused by that. But that's my thing, is like I would love to see both Hocus Pocuses in that setting, but I would want to see Werewolf by Night even more in that type of setting.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's
I'm
rough.
looking at a picture from the Google reviews of like a big setup for movies at this location.
Does it look like they're on graves, or is it like
I can't tell. There's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Like everywhere. So I'll send you the link real quick so you can look at it.
Yeah. I mean, that's super spooky. I've spent limited amount of times in cemeteries at night. I'll tell you what, it's not my place to be at the middle of the night. That's not my idea of a good time. However, in this type of environment would be super neat. That's the fun part about living in LA. They would have a movie screening until midnight in the middle of a cemetery. It's like, why not? So,
and it looks like they've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one from September 2016, and I mean, I can't tell exactly what the movie is, but there's a plethora of evidence to show that they've been doing this for years.
I mean, that's a respectable size screen too. That's in that picture they sent. So, fun time. If you're in Hollywood area, check it out. Especially if you're into those movies. Nightmare Before Christmas would also be super cool watching in there. Like, all those movies good. And I also like they picked out just a singular WandaVision episode because it's just spooky. Love it. I'm all about that spooky business. We're in my territory now. A few days ago, we rolled into Dawn season for sure. This is when I thrive. So, really quickly here, throwing this in here during editing, a story that I forgot to hit on that we discussed in the week prior. An update to last week's GTA 6 leak. The suspected hacker has been taken into custody. Early Friday morning, reports of the FBI's attempts at tracking down a hacker associated with multiple database intrusions had led to the arrest of a 17-year-old from the city of Oxfordshire, England. No information has been released since their arrest. The hacker had recently attempted to blackmail Rockstar before being tracked down less than a week later in an investigation that worked in conjunction with the City of London police. So we talked about this story last week. This person had also taken credit for the Uber hack, which had already put them on the radar of the FBI and DOJ. But yeah, less than a week later, he's been taken into custody, and we're just kind of waiting for more information on that. So I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this into the show, and we'll get back to it. But yeah, that is it for me. Did you have anything that you want to throw in here?
Yeah. So it was reported officially yesterday, but there's rumors all this week that James Earl Jones has signed off the rights to Darth Vader's voice, and he's officially retiring from Star Wars.
Yeah. So the AI will be used.
Yeah.
You said lifelike reproduction, but I don't know where he would have a Sandlot remake or what. What I mean.
So I think From what the stories, there's a couple different stories with all of the slightly different bits of information. Piecing it all together, it looks like the part of the deal was that any of the archived voice stuff for him, stuff that wasn't used in the movies, stuff that was used in the movies, and any other Disney property that he was in, all of that will be able to be used to recreate Vader's voice through AI technology. I mean, in Obi-Wan, they had the part where it was transitioning from Anakin's voice to Darth Vader's voice. I mean, that was done with AI, and I think that's kind of what we're going to be looking at. So I want to read this part real quick. So specifically, James Earl Jones signed off the rights to his voice to Lucasfilm and Respeecher. Respeecher is a Ukrainian company that uses archival recordings and AI program to create new dialogue for voice performances who have either aged out of their roles or have passed away. So,
I mean, I already said it. I'm hoping for a Siri DLC. What up?
Yeah, I think at this point it is logical to have a Darth Vader series. I mean, we've been focusing on good guys in all of the Star Wars stuff, but we need a bad guy story, a good one.
I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, especially to give Hayden some work, you know.
Yeah. Well, and if just me thinking out loud, if they had this like, you know, picking up right after Episode 3, and how like he's transitioning into being Darth Vader in the suit and
after
like,
the
fresh wounds, exactly.
Where he went after that, like he just puts his hands down and sulks,
yeah,
and then walks out. And then it's the series after that. Yeah, that'd be, you know. I mean, the thing is, like, you know how I hate fan service and I hate the member berries and stuff, but I don't know. Vader's kind of cool. I'd much rather have a Vader show than an Obi-Wan show or a Boba Fett show. I want to say about Mandalorian because Mandalorian's cool, but you know, I mean, if you're gonna pick characters, Vader's definitely one where it's like, all right, I'll watch that. Damn. Yeah.
Well, and like if they were to do it right after Episode 3, you're gonna implement all the stuff with the Republic transitioning into the Empire, and how all of that works, how his role in the Empire is formed, like because it's not just overnight. He's like, you know.
Revered,
where we see him in a home,
respected, feared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So having that story to get from there, but like him hunting Jedi would be like in this realm, or turning Jedi to be Inquisitors. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential there, and like I said, give Hayden some work. You know, I'd like to see him back. So that's my thing with that.
Agreed.
But, James Earl Jones Siri DLC, need it.
Yep.
So that is it for this week's show. Try to make it nice and quick. Stick around an hour or so, a little bit over probably, but you know, it is what it is. We'll work on it, but not too bad. A couple other things on here to check out. You can head on over to our Twitter. Grogu Tamagotchi announced. Looked dope. I'm going to get that. Another hack, this time 2K, urging customers to change their password. So if you have an account, maybe you want to go do that. Overwatch 2 lead hero designer Jeff Goodman has left Activision Blizzard just a month before the game's launch. Some drama going on over there with Overwatch 1.5. Motive has announced an all-new single-player action-adventure Iron Man game in conjunction with Marvel games. Will not be tied to any of the other Marvel games being released, which like Wolverine and the Captain America and Black Panther games. It's not going to be kind of like a shared universe with that. Marvel Studios confirms a number of new War Machine suits in an upcoming Armor Wars. My speculation on that with the potential of a Punisher cameo in Echo. By the time that Armor War rolls around, you might have Frank Castle in the War Machine suit.
Dope.
That'd be pretty cool. Super Mario Brothers starring Chris Pratt will have a teaser trailer premiering at the New York Comic Con on October 6th at 4 p.m. The next one here is nice, actually. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales announced for a fall PC release on Epic and Steam. No date on that I could find. And then lastly here, Cloverfield sequel in the works at Paramount. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, is produced by Matt Reeves, because Matt Reeves' involvement with like the original film and stuff like that.
Nice.
some other little blurbs and stuff. If you want to check out our Twitter, you can head on over there, and I'll just work right into the plug here. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook. It's at Nerd Chatter Show. You can find all the episodes of the Nerd Chatter podcast anywhere you can find podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere else. Just go ahead and type in Nerd Chatter Podcast, and you will find us there. If you're interested in becoming a part of the community, you can join our Discord, where we share stories, links, trailers. We had some of the leak footage for Grand Theft Auto 6 in there before they ripped it down. So if you want to go ahead and hop over there, you can join the community there. Or you can head on over to our Patreon, where we have Patreon-specific content, where we've done like reviews in the past and kind of top threes and talking about Ryan Johnson most recently and stuff like that. So you can check that out. If you're on YouTube, if we have any links that we want to share, they'll be down there in the description. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, you can head on over to our website, nerdchatter.com, and find any of the links to any of our social media, and you can find what you need there. Garrett, my friend, welcome back. Thank you for being here. And,
of course.
We'll see how we fare. I have some oral surgery coming up here in mid-October, so there's going to be probably a solo show with you coming up, and then we're going to do an early recording for a Halloween show since I'll be out of town. We'll be discussing Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. So
Nice.
I'm pretty stoked for that. We're going to try to take care of that ASAP, so we have that on deck. I'm probably going to be out for a week or two. My surgery is going to be midweek. That Saturday is definitely going to be off the table, and then hopefully I'm good to go. Might have some slurred speech, or just not being able to operate my mouth the same way. We'll see what's up.
We'll play it by ear.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear. So we're going to head on out of here. You guys take it easy.